What is up, YouTube? I know it's been a while since I've posted anything. Just been busy, life, work, all that good stuff. But yesterday I received these in the mail. These are Irish Setter Marshalls 11-inch pull-on Western style boots. This particular model has steel toe, oil and slip resistance, electrical hazards, and waterproof. It's their Irish Setter's ultra dry waterproof lining going on, which in other boots, in my experience, has been fairly exceptional compared to other boots that claim waterproofing. Now, waterproof lining is not my preference just because it stinks, especially in a taller boot like this. All that fabric and sweat going in there stinks more than just raw leather, but I need them for work. I went back into working in animal services, so I'm dealing with a lot of water, especially in the first half of the work day, cleaning up kennels and whatnot, working with dogs, working in the barn area with livestock. And I just prefer leather boots, Western style boots, as opposed to rubber boots and muck boots and deck boots. I've worn those in the past, and they're just more prone to cracking and puncturing, and then you have to get a new pair because they're not waterproof anymore, or tape them, and they just overall feel more uncomfortable on my foot. Now, with that being said, kind of some pros and cons I've already noticed right off the bat. This is kind of just first impressions with these. These do have a synthetic welt, as you can see right there, which in this price range is to be expected. Now, these retail on Irish Setter's website for $229. I got these on sale for $200 on Amazon. And I will say, though, my Irish Setter wing shooters have a real leather welt, as do my Rock Roosters. So the wing shooters are similarly priced to these, just the mock toe configuration, 6-inch boots. And then my Rock Roosters, though, were $120, and they have a real leather welt. So it can be done. It's really just up to the manufacturers, I would imagine, as far as like saving money. But the outsole does look nice. It does have stitching along the toe. It feels promising, and that's my dog. Come on, yeah. All right. Now, anyways, where was I? The outsole, I do like. I probably should pull out my other Western style boots. I have two other pairs. This is my third pair of Western boots at the moment, and these definitely, I think, have the most promising outsole. They feel grippy. My Cabela's, which are obviously cheap ones I got at Bass Pro a while ago, are dangerous on wet concrete. I've almost slipped many times, and I had knee surgeries in high school, and it's just not fun worrying about my knees, having them pop while I'm working. It hurts, and it just runs the risk of spraining or tearing ligaments, which I've already done multiple times, and I don't want to go back to surgery and 9 months of recovery. So we'll see how these do. Starting tomorrow, I go back to work, and these are going to be getting wet quite a bit, so plenty of opportunity to test the waterproofing on this particular pair of boots. Now, I've looked at a lot of reviews on Amazon and Irish Setter's website, and I thought that some of them were worth mentioning. Some people love them and think they're great. I've never had this particular model of Irish Setters before, but other models have worked just fine for me. Now, it seems that people using these for harsh construction work environments are kind of the ones having the more negative reviews, which makes sense. Now, on the box, though, it does say suggested use for farming, transportation, and construction. Now, one of the reviews on Irish Setter's website was somebody using these for harsh construction. The boots just didn't hold up. They probably, if I remember correctly, only lasted like 4 to 6 months and were just thrashed, and the customer was unhappy. And then Irish Setter responded and said, sorry about the boots, whatever, thank you for your review. These boots are not ideal for construction. So I don't know why you would advertise on the box the boots for construction if you're going to tell customers that they're not ideal for construction. So that was just something that caught my eye. that I thought was weird. Obviously, I'm not going to be using these for harsh construction, just kind of general labor, cleaning, just animal services type of work. So I'm not going to be working with concrete and, large machinery and power tools, sawing wood, just anything like that in my general work day. I mean, around the house is different, but I'm not going to be doing anything crazy in these. And just some other things to mention. I don't want to keep this review long just because I only worn these yesterday and today. Wore them around the house, wore them at church today. These are size 8.5. Now, obviously, Irish Setter is made by Red Wing, and I feel like these are still true to size with their like scale. If you've ever been inside of a Red Wing store, they have the scale you stand on and they measure your feet. Now, my recommended size that I did purchase for my Iron Rangers was 8.5D, and these I also got an 8.5D. Now, they are a snug fit for my foot. However, I feel like they will break in nicely. My toes aren't curled up or anything. Just usually size 9 is my go-to with a boot I've never tried on. I've seen these in store, never tried them on. I just thought they looked nice. And in this instance, I chose Irish Setter over Ariat. I did go into Boot Barn, tried on a few different pairs of Ariats, similar kind of specs and features as these ones. And I actually have some of them pulled up just for reference if you're in the market. Now, obviously, these on Irish Setter's website retail for $229. On Amazon, they're on sale $199. And if you question the integrity of these boots, a potentially better option, quality and longevity wise, would be the Red Wing Rio Flexes. And these all have all the same specs as far as I can see. Yep, steel toe waterproof, slip resistant, electrical hazard. They do look slightly different. I honestly prefer the aesthetic of the Marshalls as opposed to the Red Wing pull-on boots. However, the materials used and the production, as being in America, you might get better use out of some Red Wings. But the Rio Flexes, anyway, retail for $269.99, so they're definitely a little more. A couple similar options from Ariat. Ariat has a million options to choose from as far as Western boots, but two that stuck out to me that I was originally interested in was the Groundbreaker wide square toe waterproof steel toe work boot. Those retail for $179.95. And the Workcog XT Patriots waterproof carbon toe work boot. I do think that Ariat has better selection as far as aesthetics. However, for construction and longevity and materials used, I don't really trust them as much as Red Wing or even Irish Setter. Obviously, these are made overseas. They're not made in America like Red Wing. And they are globally sourced components. So this specific model, made in Vietnam, man's 8.5D. The leather is still impressive. I wouldn't say it doesn't. It's not like on par with my Iron Rangers, but it's still nice for the price and feels promising. And if you notice that this coloration looks different than the ones online, it's because I put a couple coats of mink oil on the boot, so they are darker, especially on the Vamp, which was more of like a deserty tan coloration before. But I did that just to add a little bit more water repellent going on, just because they are going to be getting wet. And the leather here, it advertises as full grain leather, but the leather on the Vamp panel seems more sanded down. It kind of seemed more like a nubucky type of leather. I could see maybe the shaft being full grain. It's kind of hard to see in this lighting, but just when you look closely and you feel the skin, or maybe even the heel. But even then, it still feels kind of more, what's the word? Like it lacks the imperfections of full grain leather, is why I question if there was any sanding going on or what the deal is with that. But whatever the case may be, it still feels like good and decently thick leather for for workwear, they are Goodyear welted. I do like Goodyear welts. My only concern is just the synthetic welt cracking. But we'll see. Only time will tell. Thorogoods can still last 5 years with a synthetic welt. And with minimal cracking, I would say. It's just resealability is really the question or issue with that. But I do plan on doing an update with these in the future after a lot more use to see how they stand up, if the negative reviews are going to be my experience or if I'm going to get my money's worth out of these. Now, they do look good even just as a casual boot, so even if you're like retired or just wanted a Western pair of boots for regular wear, you're not going to have any issues other than just the break-in period. I guess one other thing to mention though is on the outsole construction, the gray kind of going on here. I don't know, the modern outsole weird stuff going on. I don't mind the bottoms. I think that looks nice. I just don't prefer this like 2 and 3 coloration scheme going on. I kind of would have preferred something a little bit more traditional looking, like even the Groundbreaker Ariats have kind of more of a traditional side profile appeal with the outsole. Okay, but overall, I'm happy with my purchase. I'm excited to break these in and wear them, and pray to God that my feet don't get wet. I've tried all my other work boots, and they were just getting my socks soaked at work. So we will see how these hold up. But if you are in the market for a $200 kind of price range Western style pull-on boot, I would recommend these as of right now, but give me 6 months and we will see if my answer remains the same. Now, if you enjoyed the video, or if I said anything that would spark conversation, go ahead and leave a comment. If you've tried out any of the boots I mentioned, if you have the Rio Flexes from Red Wing or some similar style Ariats that you would recommend and had a good experience with, go ahead and let us know in the comments. Like, subscribe, that would be much appreciated. Otherwise, hope you have a good day, and I'll see you guys on the next one. God bless.